600 watt ballast. I have 1,000 watt ballast, a couple of them. I have about 10 1,000 watt lights that are spare. Damn, this thing's hard to open. And I got a few 400 watt ballasts and lights. But you know what? They're all no good under Health Canada's new bullshit guidelines. Damn. So the reason I'm opening this up on here is because I want this all documented. Because I believe one day I'm going to find myself in a courtroom trying to explain this to a judge. And I think the only way to truly show is to show what we have to go through. So of course in here is going to be nothing more than the ballast. You know, I'm not going to go ripping it all out of here. There's no sense. You can see a picture here. I'll turn it over and get my wife to zoom in on it. You can see a picture here. It's got a 5-year warranty. This is a digital ballast. It can do both metal halide and high pressure sodium. Okay, so it can be switched over for either or. It can also do 120 or 240. You know, it can do either one. This is one of the newer, better ballasts to have, of course. That being said, there is an issue that I have. Now here's where we stand. I get my ballast, I set it up. Okay. Now the problem is I'm in a small little 3 by 2 foot space. Where's my plant? Feel a little better. So now, there. Okay. As you can see, I'll get my wife to zoom in on this plug as well for me. She's just in the middle of having a sip of coffee, so it's cool. But I'm going to ask her to zoom in on this for me because a couple things I want to show. First off is the plug. That's not your standard plug, of course. This is designed for this particular ballast. And there's also a CSA sticker on the ballast I didn't bother taking out. And it's also interesting to note that that there's a few different things that are very important to understand. For instance, because I'm in a 3 by 2 foot space, I need to use a heat-cooled reflector and an inline fan, a 2500 CFM inline fan to exhaust the hot air out. Now, in that process, means that I have to take this mogul socket, which has a special connector, okay, and I have to actually open this mogul socket, take the wire out, and hook this into my heat-cooled reflector. Now, I've done this 1,000 times with various lights. It's not an issue of whether I can do it. Problem is it then makes it non-CSA. See, this is the kind of barriers we're fought with in this regulatory scheme that is just set to demoralize and deter people from this program. I mean, if that's not evident in the 2,300 people that have applied to the program, or that have actually gotten licenses, sorry, I would love to see the numbers of people that actually applied. I know I had written an article in 2005 addressing the 75% drop-off rate of people that applied and then bothered not applying again. I was speaking to a gentleman tonight, and I'm not going to raise him by name, but this gentleman said, oh, fuck, I remember trying to apply to that program, but I don't blame him. 33-page application, he didn't even understand. His understanding, I mean, he read the designated production license part. His understanding was that they were going to, you know, run a criminal records check and all this other stuff on him, and he didn't agree with that for simply choosing his medication, nor do I. But back to the heat-cooled reflector. The minute I open this is no longer CSA. So what I then have to do is pay $100 for some electrician to come in and tell me, oh, your ground wire and your green wire and your black wire are okay. Here's a piece of paper. There you go. They certify my room. Or do they? You see, the question is, what is a certification? How do I prove that guy was even an electrician? No electricians have certified stamps. So, I mean, I don't know how exactly that works, but, you know, this is stuff that Health Canada, I hope, can sort out. And it was even more distressing, of course, to get that letter from Mr. Duant stating that, hey, we're going to phase out the personal production license. Have you ever stopped to think that people have invested a lot of money in personal time, have had to save up a lot of money? We live below the poverty line. We have to save up a lot of money to try and buy our equipment so that we can grow to follow your guidelines and your regulatory scheme, which you do not hold herb gardens and exotic flower gardens to the same scrutiny as us. You say this isn't what you're worried about because it's just a plant. I agree. Just a plant, not dangerous. So we concur on that. We can all agree on that. So see, equipment. I still argue, make the freaking equipment the issue and have everybody held to the same standard. Because you know what? Then I wouldn't feel stigmatized against. Having lived a long time with a terminal illness, I can relate to stigma. And that's one thing that I certainly, and I'm going to continue to preach this, do not agree with. You know, it's kind of like the personal information they put on the production license. Actually, you know what? I'm going to get my wife to zoom in on this. This is something that I don't talk about enough, and I may as well while we got the technical abilities to show those who haven't seen a federal license. I just have to kind of cover up my address here. See, the problem is they have my address, my date of birth, they got everything on here. So it makes it a little difficult, but there we go. My wife can zoom in on that for you. And now as you can see, it tells you that I can store 2,205 grams a pot in this house. It tells you that I can have 49 plants in this house. Okay, now the problem with this is that as far as I go, it's not a big deal. Just me being one person, being one guy, it actually is still a big deal. It's a matter of life, liberty, and security in relation to Section 7 of the Charter of Rights and of Rights and Freedoms. And I believe that that's not being looked at. I have trumpeted it in the Monday magazine. I had a copy of my license put in there for that very reason, was to address the fact that this personal